Hey friends, Chuck MadEra here. Today I want to show you how to do a landscape painting using very inexpensive material. Alright, enough chitter chatter, pitter patter, let's get at her, here we go. Alright, first I'm going to use masking tape to mask off the borders. This helps me to paint right to the edge, and then afterward I can peel it off and get a nice crisp edge, a nice white border. Alright, this is all cheap material. You can actually get everything here from the Dollar Tree. Canvases, they sell canvases at Dollar Tree, and brushes and paint palettes and paint. So you can do this pretty inexpensively. All right, I'm going to fill this in. Now I'm not just filling in with plain blue. I'm adding some white to it. I'm doing sort of a gradient effect of going from blue to white. And I'm just kind of spinning that brush around to sort of add a bit of texture to my sky, add a bit of interest. And I purposely left a white spot right there in the kind of upper left-hand corner. That's going to be my sun. So I'm going to make the sun. I'll start with white. And later on, I'll just add a hint of yellow to it. So rays radiating out from the sun. All right, there we go. There's the sun. And let's do clouds. For this, I'm doing a stippling effect. And stippling is whenever you tap your brush into your paint and then tap it onto your canvas. This kind of cakes on the paint, gives you sort of a puffiness, puffy look to it. And also, as you're going, it's okay to let your paint kind of run out, like not be as vibrant. So that way you get kind of a wispiness of some of your clouds as your paint is running out. All right, we can let's add some yellow now. This is very, very tricky because what happens when you mix yellow and blue together, you get green. So I really should have left my painting dry a bit before going into my yellow, because a green sun or green clouds is going to really look weird. So I'm wiping off my brush on the masking tape. You can wash off your brush if you want, but I'm moving pretty quick here. All right, adding highlights to the clouds, some yellow highlights. That way, it looks like the sun is reflecting off of them. Add some more puffiness to them. By the way, when you are doing clouds, I didn't really do this on mine. I should have. You should overlap your clouds. That gives a sense of depth, like things are overlapping, like you have layers to them. And don't be afraid to make things go off the edge. Okay, I'm going to add some dark. I'll mute that a little bit. It's a little too dark. Just the underside of the clouds, just to give it a bit more dimension. And I'm letting all my paint mix right on my canvas. I could mix it on the paint palette, on the paint tray, but I'll just let it mix on here itself. Okay, for the next part of your background, you're going to move to the mountains, and I want to move to the mountains. Anyway, so the further away you are, the more things are going to have sort of a grayish, just a black kind of color, So this is sort of a grayish, greenish, bluish sort of mountain. But as you get toward the foreground, your things are going to have a bit more color to it, a bit less black, a bit, you know. So we have some rolling hills here. I got lost there a little bit, lost in the hills. Okay. The next part here is just, adding more color as we get closer and closer to you, the viewer, or the foreground. I'm going to do actually a silhouette. A lot of people do this, just silhouette in the extreme foreground. And I'll do some sticks up. These are going to be trees. If I was using a thinner brush, I could obviously make these thinner, but this is a cheapo Dollar Tree brush. I'm just showing that, you can still do a decent painting with just Dollar Tree material. When you are doing your trees, you want to start with the ones furthest away and then move to the bigger ones, the foreground ones. And the branches at the top are going to be smaller. As you get toward the bottom, you're going to widen those out. You can do sort of a swooping stroke for pine branches. Other kind of trees might be a little different, but pine trees fairly easy to do. Try to make each one unique in itself. Again, I'm letting the paint mix right on the canvas. So I'm dipping into black, dipping into green, and then letting it mix however it wants to mix right on the canvas. And when you're doing trees, it's okay to overlap them. That shows some depth, some layering, some dimension. So it kind of helps out. So don't be afraid of going painting over top of something that you already painted. It helps your painting to really have some character, really have some three-dimensional qualities to it. Okay, I'll add some highlights in there. Might be a little too much yellow for that one tree, but I'll mute that out by adding maybe some more green to it. There we go. All right. I'll add some kind of foreground grass. To do that, I'm doing upstrokes. That way, like the little bristly hairs of the brush act as sort of the grass, so you can see the grass growing up. Grass doesn't grow sideways horizontally, it grows up. All right, here's some yellow highlights like the sun is reflecting off the grass. Okay, looks all right. We'll tear off the masking tape. When you tear off masking tape, be very careful that you don't get paint on your white borders. And all right, there we go. A quick landscape painting. Hope you guys enjoyed. You can try this on your own.